Okay, imagine this, a supersonic jet racing against the shadow of the moon, chasing an eclipse that lasts just a few precious minutes longer than it would on the ground. Sounds like sci-fi, right? But in 1973, that's exactly what happened. And here's what blows my mind, this wasn't just some flashy stunt. It was a brilliant, borderline obsessive attempt to unlock secrets about the sun that we could only see by turning an airplane into a flying observatory. Let me explain why this story is way more than a quirky footnote in science history. First off, why go to such extremes? Well, the solar corona, the sun's outer atmosphere, is a cosmic mystery box. We can't study it properly from Earth because it's drowned out by daylight, except during a total eclipse. But even then, the window's tiny. Ground telescopes get maybe 2 to 3 minutes of totality. But what if you could stretch that? That's where Concorde's insane speed came in. Flying at Mach 2, it could stay in the moon's shadow for 14 minutes. 14 minutes might not sound like much, but in solar physics terms, that's a goldmine. Now, here's where the human side of this story gets fascinating. The guy behind this, Pierre Lehner, didn't just slap a few telescopes onto a plane and call it a day. He turned this into a global collaboration. Scientists from France, the UK, the US, even Los Alamos, which was knee-deep in Cold War secrets, were all on board. Why? Because no single experiment could justify hijacking a Concorde prototype for an 11-hour flight. This wasn't just about data, it was about proving that science could transcend politics and engineering limitations. And honestly, that feels like something we've lost a bit in today's hyper-specialized world. But wait, how do you even turn a luxury jet into a lab? The Concorde 001 had to be gutted and rebuilt. They cut 4 massive portholes into the roof. Imagine flying at 60,000 feet with a giant hole in your ceiling. That's not engineering, that's lunacy. But here's the thing, those holes were calculated risks. Each porthole aligned with a specific experiment, dust particles in the corona, oscillating gas, the chromosphere. It was like building a cathedral to observe a celestial event that most people just watch on TV with eclipse glasses. And let's be real, if this flight failed, those scientists would have looked like absolute fools. But they did it anyway. One detail I find mind-blowing: the altitude wasn't just about speed, it was about clarity. At 17 kilometers, there's zero humidity, zero light pollution from water vapor. That's why the infrared data they collected was so pristine. But here's the kicker, infrared studies of the corona could have been done from satellites. So why the Concorde? Because in 1973, satellites couldn't point with the precision needed for 14 minutes of perfect alignment. Sometimes, the old-school solution is the only solution. It's like how astronauts trained for moonwalks in swimming pools instead of high-tech VR. Practicality wins over prestige. This whole mission raises a deeper question, though: how far should we go to satisfy scientific curiosity? Today, we'd probably just launch a CubeSat or use AI to simulate the corona. But there's something romantic about strapping a dozen scientists into a modified jet and hoping the math checks out. It's the same spirit that drove the Apollo missions, except this time, the moon came to them. And honestly, maybe that's the real takeaway here. The universe doesn't care about our deadlines or our budgets. If we want answers, sometimes we have to chase them at Mach 2, holes in the ceiling and all. So here's my final thought. What modern scientific problem would you try to solve by bending an entire machine to your will? What's our generation's Concorde eclipse chase? Fusion energy? Mars colonization? Or something we haven't even dreamed up yet? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like button if you're as obsessed with this story as I am. Because honestly, this wasn't just about studying the sun. It was about proving that when humans get fixated on a question, we'll turn even the most unlikely tools, like a luxury jet, into instruments of discovery.